tug bag is baggots. When a Crispin Socolist besoups Juts camps, or clapper claws, and Irvingite off the docks, a look change I see, thinking young through the muddle age spread, the moral fat his mental leans on. We can cop that with our straight, that is called corkscrewed. It would be the fairest boulevard Billy for a while, in every direction from Lismore to Cape Brendan, Patrick's. If they took the bint out of the middle of it, you told of a tryst, two of a tooty. I wonder now, without releasing secrets of the alcove, tertours or rabes, have I heard mention of whose name anywhere? Mallow Lane or Dimash? Strike us up either end. Have you heard of Van Humper or Ebel Teresa Kane? Marak, he dropped his darracks on Mansion House Parak, and he had a barrow. The watercress short clads of the Archbishop of Yarrack, broadry knobs on the bummel, and lily pets on the lee, and being again in becomings again, from the sallies to the alleys, through their central power. Purse, quick. O Towers thrust the share pusher, and he said he was only taking the average grass temperature for green Thursday, the blutchy Scaliger. Who you know, the Mussulman, his Mussul mum and Misselman. My omi, mammy, my mo-mum. He loves the dreary lane. Feel felicitations to Daff, Mr. Hairwigger, who has just had twin little curls. He was resting between Horrocks' sheets, wailing for white warfare, poor Boer Welsh Breton, and unbiased by the embarrassment of disposal. But the first woking day by thunder, he stepped into the breach and put on his recreation trousers and riding apron in Baltic by-grade. The old soggy was when the bold boys of Iran wouldn't join up. How voice you that, nice Sandy man? Not large good man is he, Sandy nice. Ask him this 1 minute, up throw inner lotus of his burly ear. Womit he dropped his bass to P flat, and for that he was a laughed and then baited the whole grammat. Luna sighed, Marty died, Madwaker mere colost, Judas cest, Pera skivid menest, Luda dogged, and needle talia foul crescendid. Dias Domas, Dol to Doltud, and Annie de Little, his dainty diva in Celtic twilights, singing him henpecked rushes through the bars, my Wallace's wild as the Craslian sea. Rabashag, Groogy Scoop, and I'll cure ye, mother of emeralds, our poor neighbours. Capilla, Rubrilla, and Melcomber Miller, Dorby without delay. Well, I beg you to traverse same above statement by Saxy looters in their back hall of coal cutter. What reflects upon my administrance of slow poisoning as my dodia de vir revered Mainher was confined to guard-room. I Hindustan, but by pint of his filthed Pilson's bottle due to Senafire Holwell, H and J.C.S., which I was bringing up in my quee parapothecary orders in my sit-down chair with my mud-faced packet from my cash chemist and family drugger, surrogate Dowling, VS to our oral surgeon, affamado Head Cutter Ahmed Borad, MACA Sahib of a 1001 Umbrella Street, Seringapadam, Alipula, to see what was my water good, my messicle, Warsagus, for repairs done by ball warm in the rear of Pilchnickers. 7 years to his gallender pole on perch, together with his, for me, unfillable slopper, property of my deeply for fear reverberated, who is costing us most fortunes, which I am writing in my petition in Kavanagh General, when he was sitting him humpbacked in dry filthy heat to his Trinidad's pinslers, at their open things entailing a laxative tendency to marry, especially with him being forbidden fruit and certified by his secular clergy to have, as Badasmi, emotional volvula with a basket full of priestess, crossing the Singorges to avoid him with Tommy Moore's maladies, and thereinafter liable to succumb when served with letters put below the belch of my poor reputed husbandship. H.R.R. took a brief one in his shirt sales out of the alleged given mineral, telling me see in his Forangistan Sambat papers Sunday fiactures of a welcomed aperitif with valid of Errol Piercy. Oh, he never batted 1 eagles before paying me his duty on my anniversary to the Paratise list in my nil ensemble in his lazy chair, but he hid it up my heavy faces in all my Mariannis, and he looked plumb into my mirror mouth like Yasami morning in the end of time, with so light hope on his ruddy cheeks and raw jaws, and my charmer whom I dipped my hand in. He simply showed me his perpendiculars, load poker, sea serpents, toes, which was then is produced in his man's way by his wisest of the Vicramiditionists, with the remove remark in his gulligerity. He ran for parasites with rum on the turkey cock, so Lydia M.D., as this is for snooker, bought, which was said by Wem to whom. It wham but whim I can't remember. Fantasy on fantasy amnes fantasies, and there is nil nuda under the closing moon, when outer we were wifical of Tortkells bumpst her dumpsy diddle down, in her woolsark she bowed, our hoity-loity girlie of peerless to set up in all their bombosities of feudal ferity, fanned, flounced, and frangipanned, while the mass-step whereby Ephialtes has succeeded in the measure simplex mandesius, by which our Utus cuts his truth. Hark away now. Yerds and nudes say eyes and nose, vidder. Let even remember, for gates of gold, for their fadeless sons betrayed her. Iris, Osiris, be thy mouth given unto thee, for why do you lack a link of luck to poise a pont of perfect peace? On the Veneto is a ragging goose, the overseer of the house of the oversire of the seas. New men triumphant saith, fly as the hawk, cry as the corncrake, Annie Latch of the postern is thy name. Shout. My heart, my mother, my heart, my coming forth of darkness, they know not my heart, O Coulomb. Dearest moon, gloomery, mon glamoury, what a surprise, dear Mr. Preacher, I to hear from your astronomical modesty. Yea, there was that skew arch of chrome sweet home, floodlit up above the flabbergasted firmament, and bump where the camel got the needle talk about iridescencies, ruby and beryl and chrysolite, jade and sapphires, jasper and lazuli. Orca, Bellona, heaven cry at earth call, et nat Athos. Extinct your volcanology for the lava of moltons. It's you, not me, an erupting heckler. Or for yuccas being visible above the horizon. Molecula occluded by Saturn's serpent ring system, the Pisiolinis, Nova Ardonis, and Prisca Parthenopea are the body feature in the northern sky. Hers, Mars and Mercury are surgeons below the rim of the zenith part where Lactua, Anatolia, Hesper and Mesembria weep in their mansions over North haste and suit and waste. Apep and Uachet, holy snakes, chase me Charlie. Eva's got barley under her fluencies. The Ewer will mount. He's on the move and he'll quivy her with the Strombolo. Waddleworst, the bag of tow, as broad above as he is below. Creeping through the lied grass and bulrushes, the obsidian before the Empfang de Moria's class. In Balchassa's short shrift, writing academy, camouflage as the blancmange and maple syrup. Obeisance so their citadins is the felicity of this orb. Her shake to solve, his dick to Dave, and the fat of the land to Geigers. The treadmill pebble dropper, half a head. Over ground and she'd only chit-chats in his spanking bee-bonnetry. Alapalooza, up the slanger. 3 cheers and a hever for the name Dan McGraw. The giant's son is in his eminence, but which is chief of those white dwarfies of which he ever is so abandoned? And do you think I might have being in his 7th? He will kistle me on Malbow. What about his age, says you? What about it, says I? I will confess to his sins, and blush me further. I would misdemean to rebuke to the libels of snots from the flesh shambles, the canals. Cinnamite is too good for them, 2 over 30s and shorties. She's ask a pot at Nile Lodge, and she's chitchin curry at the left, Mrs. Hammerson's. Will you warn your old Habazund, barking at Bagaman, his chokeful chewing his chain? Responsive you please, the said Sully's a barracker associated with Tinkers, the Black Hand, Chevalier Vans, Reuter of annoying most, letters and scurrilous ballet, in passe French who is Magras thug, and smells cheaply of Power's spirits. Like a deep-sea dibbler, and he is not fit enough to throw guts down to a bear. Silfling me, when is a maid not a maid, he would go to any post length for her. So long, Suleiman, if they cut his nose on the stitcher, they had their 7 good reasons. Here's to the leg lift of my snuff and trout stockings, handkerchief, orange fin with a mosaic of dispensations, and a foreign black palata. From my church milliner. When Lynch, brother, with workers, friends and company with T.C. King, and the warden of Galway is prepared to stretch him sacred to the powers, to the starlight, I'll be W. Hemp, hooray, says the captain in the moonlight. I could put him under my palliasse, and sleep on him all nights as I would roll myself for holy-poly over his boring places. How we will make laugh over him together, me and my Riley, in the vicar's bed, quink, says I. He calls to me Granny Stream, Orbon, when I am hiding under my hair from him, and I call him my Finny King. He's so joyant a bounder. Plunk, said he, inasmuch as I am delighted to be able to state with the joy of lifting in my 40 winkers that a handsome sovereign was freely pledged in their pennies, in the slut's machine, along with a cherry wicker, kishabrack of Mary fruit under shadow la rose, to both the legitimate lady performers of display unquestionable, Elizabeth and Marietta Gunning, H2O by that noblesse of leeches at his Saxon tannery, with motto in Walsh's French Latin. O'Neill saw Queen Molly's pants, and much admired engraving, meaning complete manly parts during alleged recent act of our chief Margie magistrates, 5 inches above the kneecap, as required by statutes, VIC 5-6. If you won't release me, stop to please me up the leg of me. Now you see, respect SVP, your wife Ann. You wish to take us through Moya by degrees, as artists litter our mug. Patrona, but I am afraid, my poor woman of that same name, what with your Sylvains and your Sylvines, you are misled. Alas for living's pledgures. Lordy Daw and Lady Don, Uncle Foozle and Auntie Jack. Sure that old humbugger was boycotted and girl-cutted in debt and doom on hill and haven, even by the show the flag flotilla, as I'm given now to understand, ill-scribed in all the gratuitous and conspewed in the take your hands away, bumpty-tumpty sot on a wall, mute art for the million. There wasn't an arch in Mandrite of Dane's Island of the townlands, nor a minx from the Isle of Woman, nor one of the 4 cantons, nor any on the whole wheel of his ecumenical conciliabulum, nor nogent Injin mind on allied the whole surface of this north, would come next or nigh him, Mr. Eel Whipper, seed and nurseryman, or his algas bungalow, auxilium moium solo and domino, am sad for rhyme or ration from piles or faces. After that, all ears did wag, old air wake as Piers Orwell was flabbergasted. Recount, I have it to hear it to my finger's end. This liggy piggy wanted to go to the jam pot, and this leggy peggy spelt P, and these lucky pucklers played at pooping tool a tum. Mars da das ma mada Saddam. Pater patrium cum filiabus familiarum. Or but now and airing out of his Mercury Marjorie Waters heads. And to change that subjunct from the trauma turgid for once in a while and darting back to stuff. If so be you may identify yourself with the him in you, that fluctuous neck, merchanter, bloodfadder, and milk mother, since then are too many of her abdada life, and getting on to daddy again, as them were ne'er free of. Was he in tea ere he went on the beer, or didn't he on time do something seemly heavy in sugar? He sent out Christy Column when he came back with the jailbird's unbespokables in his beak, and then he sent out Clacaron Crow, and the pieces are still looking for him. The seeker from the swade, the bees of booties from the parent swarm. Speak to the right, wrote assist Secani. He can't ne'er be bothered, but man ne'er be waked. If there is a future in every past that is present, kiss est qui non novit, quidigang and qui quo quot at Quiddingan's quake stump. His producers, are they not his consumers? Your examination round his factification for incarnation of the warping process. Declaim. Ara Irara, Hirara man, weren't they arriving in clandestinies for the embandment of Adregius Agridapes, Foggerballers, and Panny Bernskers? After the crack in the lean years, scalp jaggers and house hunters, like the mesicles of the great god, a scarlet tradeful, the two-edged Petrard, totaling the gats and prelapse in their aggregate ages 2 and 30 plus, undecimed centuries of them with insiders, extra omnes and tutti frutis al sunt, from Rathgar Rathanker, round town and rush, from America Avenue and Asia Place, and the Afrian Way, and Europa Parade, and Bezoka the Wallies of new such wiles, and from Vico Mespil Rock and Sorrento, for the lure of his wheel and the fear of his opidomic, to his salon despera, the keel of his kraal, like loads of oars, flocking fast to mountain Maximagnet. Afeard he was a gunner, but afraid to stay away. Marionites, dumb drummers, Lucanicans, Ashturmers, Battersby Parks, and Crumlin Boyards, Phillipsburgs, Cabriests, and Funglosses, Ballymonites, Rayoniacs, and the Bettlers of Clontarf, for to contemplate in manifest and pay their first-rate duties before the both of him, 12 stone aside, with their sieve larue and their shiver ye thirst, and their use give ad inferos, and their usker ad abios, at and in the licensed booziness premises of his delightful bazaar and reunited magazine hall by the magazine wall, Hosties and Co. exports for his 566th birthday the grand old Maginus. More Percy and Raleigh, taker of the tributes, they Rinsaki Porpicorp, and Pirator the Grape, holding Dunkers Durbar, boot kings and India rubber umpires, and shawls from Paisley, and muftis and Muslim, and Sultana Huazains, and Jordan Almonders, and a row of jam sahibs, and a odd Princapessa in her petticoat, and the Queen of Nights clubs, and the Claddag ringleaders, and the two Salems, and the Halfa Ham, and the Hansa Khan, with two fat Maharajas, and the German Selva Geyser, and he polished up pro temple, tintinabulating to himself so silfric, and there was J.B. Dumnop, the best tyrant of Irish times, and the swanks of French wine stewards, and Tudor keepsakes, and the Severich for the current counter, Leodegaria Sant, Leger riding lap-saddle long legs, up the Oaks' staircase on muleback, like Amoxoxtius Ista Protos. Hindquarters to the fore and kick to the lift, and he handy grabbed on his trolley natural anthem, "Hose the bus, keep your taily up." And so much as the hall of the vacant throne room, old Loaf's buttery, could safely accommodate of the houses of Orange and Better's MP, permeated by Druids, D.P. Brayons, B.P. and Flo Hulags, F.P. and Agium Pomitis, A.P. and Anti-Pumelites, P.P. and Ulster Cong and Munster's Herald, with Athley ensigning and Athlone poor Swivont and his imperial catchering, his fain a one and his gemmy nose sanctones, in effoid and orderlorn and his diamond-skulled granddaughter. Adamantia, Lya Bokovska, all murdering Irish amok and the back, out of their boom companions in Pawnchab, and Dogwell and Pamel, and Googe Garotti, after plenty of his fresh stout, and his good bowls of malt, not to forget his ools and Monaghan, his beers O'Reilly, sopped down by his pennies and Algolorum, at Kennedy's kiln in Ed the Hido, back of a bake for me buns, socializing and communicating in the deification of his members, for to nobble or salvage their heribit of him, the poor old bold sluice, with his Arthurius clay roses, Doderic, Organoic, whack, busted to the world at large on the table round with the floodlight, switched back as true as the villains have Brian's sword, and a dozen one by one till he follows, round in Rinkampf, circumassembled by his daughters in the forgiftness of his sons, lying high as he's lay in all dimensions in court dress and Ludma's chain, with a hogo fluorescent of his swathings round him, like the cumulium of scents in an Italian warehouse. Ericus clustered on his hair, the spectrum of his prison mocking in the candle, candid dights of his daffodid, bag pudding poded to the deaf spot, beswept of his children, and sea-firm poors and personalities, venturous drones and dominators. Ancients and old ancients, with his buttoned up, expetitoed, for sale after referee's inspection, bulging, glorious, bung to ignorious, healed, cured, and balsamate, pending a roused reduction of his bogey, most highly astounded, as it turned up after his life everlasting, at thus being reduced to nothing. Bappy go gully and gaff for us all, and all his morties calisthenic, tripping a trepas, then yet twinning, mullo mullello, homo humilo, don't see a deddy do, oh boys, oh murder, oh Mortimer, oh smirts, vo hillil, wo halal, thou the only thy, thou thornaton, o martyr, o damno, chit, mergu, oilumnu, quam, malawunga, say, O sir, see I see, hamos, he moves, mamur, Wocriem eternial, give Donal I in Dolmany, bat lux per pepperpot, lucid his eyes,